Hey there, welcome to the CMMC Compliance Guide podcast. I'm Stacey.
And I'm Brooke.
From Justice IT Consulting, where we help businesses like yours navigate CMMC and NIST 800-171 compliance. We're hard guns getting companies fast-tracked to compliance, but today we're here to give you all the secrets for free, so if you want to tackle it yourself, you're equipped to do so. Let's dive into today's episode and keep your business on track. Today's episode is a breaking news one. As of just a few days before we recorded this, the Department of War suspended CMMC Phase 2, and Brooke is going to walk us through exactly what happened. Okay, so let's tackle the headline first.
Absolutely.
What did the DoW actually announce?
They announced a bunch of chaos is what they announced. So what they announced was basically a pause in the deadline for Phase 2. Phase 2 is the implementation of certifications on contracts. So any certifications that were going to be on contracts in November, after November 10th, or I guess on November 10th or after, those requirements are paused. So we're going to keep on. Essentially, Phase 1 is extended. Is really what it is. They did make clear that even though they're pausing the Phase 2 implementation, Phase 2, the certifications on the contracts, even though they paused that they stressed that you still have the obligation to protect the data. You still have the obligation to be compliant with all 110 controls, all the documentation, everything else. They stressed you still have to be compliant and you still have to protect that data. So that's what happened. That's the big thing. It's a huge, huge thing. There's all sorts of the skies falling posts and calls and emails and everything else. But after the initial freak out period, people kind of calmed down and really thought about what it took. But that's what they announced.
So with all of the chaos online, I'm sure there's a bunch of misconceptions out there. What's the biggest misread you're worried about right now?
Well, the biggest misread is contractors thinking I kept hearing people talk about this and say that they've seen it a lot. I myself haven't seen it a lot. I haven't heard it a lot, especially from our clients. But what some people have said is, yay, it's suspended. We don't have to worry about CMMC. And that's not the case. It is absolutely not the case. Just like I said, they did stress that we're still in Phase 1 and you still do have to meet all your compliance for CMMC Level 2. You still have to, submit your scores. You have to do all that. You have to protect that data still. So the biggest thing is from CMMC is dead to CMMC, the certifications are going away. None of that is true. None of that is accurate. The only thing they did was pause it so that they could regroup and figure out what to do. And what I might add is that if you look back, every CIO has come in, got their feet on the ground, got an earful about this, and they've paused the program and then restarted it. And so it may look, very well may look a little bit different, but it's just a pause right now. So there's no CMMC is not canceled. The certifications are not canceled. They may look different. They may not. Who knows? There may be a better, a different timeline. Who knows? But CMMC or the certifications are not canceled.
Did you see any of the stated reasoning behind pulling Phase 2?
I did, and I have some issues with it. Not all of it is accurate, and some of it is fear-mongering, but, that's okay. There's accusations of fear-mongering going back and forth, all over the place. So however you want to look at it. The Small Business Administration, I've always held that the Small Business Administration isn't truly for the actual small businesses. They're not for what you and I think of as a small business. They're for the small businesses that are not giant enterprises, Mm-hmm. So, they pointed to assessments and other things that cost, $500,000 and up, and for small businesses, quote, small businesses. That from what I've seen for small businesses, that's absolutely inaccurate. But, It may be, there may have been cases of that. I don't really know, but that is not accurate from what I've seen. They also said that the biggest thing they raised was capacity, right? For the assessments. They said there's not enough capacity for the assessments. There actually is, and we can go over that. In fact, I'll hit on it. And I don't have numbers, and I don't have a cool little chart. Somebody made a chart showing everything, showing the math and everything, and they did a great job. I wish I had that chart and I could rip it off and show it to you right now, but it was really good. So, but they one of the other things they also said was that there's 100 assessors. There's not 100 CCAs. There is over 1,000 CCAs, and the C3PAOs, the companies that hire the assessors, yeah, there's 107 of those, but that's not where a bottleneck would be. The bottleneck would be the number of assessors, right? Because the number of assessors govern how many assessments can be completed. And I might say also that we're far ahead of the DoD's own projections of where we would be at. I believe at the end of the year, if we kept on track, we'd be like 5 times ahead of what they thought we would be. But they said we have 100 assessors. We have 1,000, over 1,000. They said we have a capacity issue. There is no capacity issue. Our capacity is much more than the amount of certifications that are being completed right now. That's not a problem. So, and the other part they said is that there's the cost is high. When you really look at it, they said the cost of getting certified is high. Cost of the assessments is high, but when you really look at it and really suss out what they're talking about, what the SBA is talking about, and unfortunately what Kirsten Davies repeated, what they're really talking about is the cost of compliance. Being compliant is not inexpensive. It does cost money, but again, they've told you that for 9 years. They've told you to implement this for 9 years, since the end of 2017, since before that, but since the end of 2017, they've told you to implement this and that you had to implement all these controls and what they looked like and the amount of documentation you needed. That may have been different, but the controls themselves and what you were supposed to put in place have been the same. So that I understand that is expensive, but when they're talking about the expense of the certification portion of it, that's much less than the actual compliance part. Now, could they do things to reduce that, reduce the cost of the assessments? I'm sure they could, and I have my ideas, and I'm sure thousands, millions of other people have their ideas too. But there's absolutely things that could be done to lower the cost. And the other thing that I would add on there is that C3PAOs aren't getting rich on this, or maybe they are. Maybe ones are getting rich, but and I guess that is a subjective term, right? Mm-hmm. So yes, they are making money on it, and they're going to make money on it. They're not going to do this free of charge. They're not going to live in the poorhouse while they're doing assessments. This is a very skilled, very knowledgeable person that has to do these assessments, right? To pull them off and do them right. Because I can tell you 100% if you get one that's not skilled and very knowledgeable, that it is it can be a little scary. So, but I have seen the price, the estimated price once the first came out, and now the prices that we see that our clients are getting quoted for their mock assessment and their certification assessment, they're way down. I wouldn't say necessarily that they're in half of what we were initially projecting, but they're significantly less than they were. So that's good. Maybe it's not where it needs to be or where you hope it would be, but this is not a SOC 2 Type 2. This is not an ISO 9100. None of those things. This is much different, and so to hold to the certification program and the NIST 800-171 and the NIST 800-171 Alpha for the assessment objectives and everything else, and how you're supposed to go about assessing all this, then that is there's a lot to it. There just is a lot to it. So, but that said, there are some things that could save a little money. And again, I'll say that the price has come down some. To answer your question, to go back now that I went off chasing some rabbits, they said the biggest thing was it's a capacity problem. I don't believe for 1 second it's a capacity problem. They also talked about the high cost, and they referenced some shady numbers. Sorry, but they did. And so, but overall, is it a high cost to get compliant and get an assessment? Yeah, it is. I will freely admit that, and I've said that from the get-go, that it is a high cost, and it's but it is coming down. Not necessarily the cost of being compliant. And we've talked about enclaves. We've talked about all sorts of things. Enclaves will sometimes work, sometimes they won't. And sometimes what some person means by an enclave is not what something else means by enclave. But capacity is not a problem. They said it was. Price is a problem, although they use some wildly some weird numbers. But I admit price is the price is high, but the price has been high this whole time. Why have you not stopped it and addressed it before? The thing that mattered with this is that there's a deadline, or there's a deadline, that a timeline of when they were going to start putting those on contracts. That's not necessarily a deadline that everybody had to be assessed and everybody had to have a level 2 certification by November 10th. But a lot of people viewed it that way, and rightly so. I know that L3 Harris and some other people said, hey, everybody has to be ready to go by this date, and so that threw a bunch of people into panic. So maybe that's what L3 Harris was trying to do. I really don't know. But what this did do, what that deadline or November 10th date, what it did do for phase 2 was it prompted a lot of people to go ahead and realize that they were supposed to have been compliant all this time. It's time to actually do it, right? And so they were actually getting compliant. We haven't necessarily seen that. We're only 2 days into it, mind you. So, but we haven't necessarily seen a slowdown in people that we don't do assessments. So I have no doubt that that's ground to a halt. I feel sorry for the C3 PAOs and the assessors. But as far as we go, people have said, look, we know we still need to be compliant and we need help. And so we haven't. There hasn't been anybody that has told us so far in these two whopping days, or actually, I guess at this point, y'all aren't privy to when we're recording this. So this is on a Wednesday after the Monday evening that it was announced. So a day and a half. So up to this point, people are still wanting to go through the process and get compliant. So doesn't appear to have slowed that down. We'll see.
So the big question is, what happens next? Is there a replacement plan coming with all of this?
You would hope. I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, I read the memo that they released, and I know that I think we've shared it. I know Austin has shared it on his LinkedIn page.
We can also link that memo in the description as well. That way you guys can reference it.
You can tell who's knows how to market stuff and who doesn't here. So, if you would, that'd be great. But if you actually read that memo, that'll give you some insight into, or it may give you some insight into what they're thinking, and that it seems like they're going to try really hard to find a way to fix the cost problem. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do that. That's going to be tough without completely retooling, but we'll see. So, but as far as what I think, what is Brooke Justice's opinion of what might happen, and I'd take for the 2 cents that it's worth, right? But I don't see them not having some sort of third party validation, I just don't see them scrapping that, completely, because it's been well proven and documented through all the False Claims Act litigation and all the DIBCAC assessments that came before and everything that there are not. If it's just left up for people to say, Scout's honor, I promise I did this, that they're not going to do it in large part. Now there are those people those companies that will do it And I can tell you, I listened quite a bit to a lot of our clients during calls with them that were just upset because they were doing this the right way, and Joe Blow down the street said he was doing it, but they're not doing it, and they're able to offer their product cheaper, and so that people know that, everybody knows that, it's not a secret. So I don't see them completely getting rid of the third party validation in some manner, right? And really, it could be another year pause. I don't know. It could be, if they're going to completely retool, it'll be quite a while before you get something done, right? Because you've got to figure out a way to substantially change it. And if you don't substantially change it, the cost is not going to substantially change either, right? So, I just don't see that substantially changing. So, actually, that may substantially change. I don't see it substantially changing in a short 60-day window. But what I can see is that there was no need for all this, no need whatsoever for all this. The DoD left themselves an out. It took a couple of outs, a couple of caveats or wiggle room, I might say. So one of them was that they can address this at any time, but change it, pause it, whatever. But the other thing really is that these assessments can be put off to option years. That's the program manager's choice, right? All they really had to do was direct the program managers, hey, unless you absolutely 1,000% need that level 2 certification this year, starting on November 10th, push it off as long as you can. That's all they had to do. They already have mechanisms to address this, to address the capacity issue that they said was an issue. That's why I don't believe that that's really why they paused it. Now we're getting into conspiracy theories, but I really think it was paused because all the right people made the right noise, made some big noise, mm-hmm. Right? But they already had a way to address this. They already had a way to fix it, and they didn't use it. And they decided just to pause the program, throw a whole bunch of people into chaos, throw the companies into chaos. The assessors I'm talking about, it's unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. But they have that way to address it, and they chose not to do it. Maybe what comes out of this 60 days is they say, you know what, we have a mechanism to address this, and this is what we do, or maybe that's one of the things, one of the few things they do. I don't really know. But I would expect there to be some sort of validation, third-party validation, still in place to go into place at some time. It may change. I have no doubt something will change somehow. We'll see how much. But the other thing that I see is that they could absolutely say, you know what, we already have a mechanism to address this. So those are the two things that I think, and they, if they change the third-party validation, the C3PAO assessments up, then that's going to require some rewriting and everything else, and that'll take a while. I mean, the government is not fast at anything,
right?
Except throwing chaos into the CMMC program. It seems
throwing a wrench into some things, yeah.
So that's what I think. That's my 2 cents.
So what should someone do if they're already mid-contract with a level 2 third-party requirement written in?
There shouldn't really be any that are written in right now. There may be some that are written in, or some that are written in for contracts that are looking to be awarded. Those will come out. There will be amendments to those contracts, and that's what the program managers have been instructed to do, is amend those. So any that have the requirement right now for the certification, that's going to come out. It's 1,000%.
With Phase 2 being paused right now, do you think that means self-assessments get a little less scrutiny?
Well, they're going to get less scrutiny from C3PAOs because that's been paused. But self-assessments, I think they'll actually get more scrutiny because now that is the only way that the DOW has to validate that somebody's actually doing what they're doing, right, is checking up on these. So I would expect to see the False Claims Acts, they've already been, I mean, there's a bunch of them out there. I would expect that probably to go up. for them to increase even more. The ones they pop in and check on, I don't know. The DIBCAC doesn't have just a ton of time. They don't have 100,000 employees or anything, so they can't go out and do assessments on everybody. But I would expect those to probably tick up some, the DIBCAC assessments, the involuntary ones. So I think there will be more scrutiny, and if you get caught, you better be compliant, or at least you better be trying very hard to be compliant. Because if you say, yeah, I've got a 110, and they come in and take a look and they say, yeah, not so much, you've got a negative 63, I would expect you'd be in some trouble. So, and that's what we've seen from our clients and people who are signing on to do this. They say, look, I know that we may or may not need a certification right now, but I know we need to be assessed or we need to be compliant and we need to be ready. And so we're working with them to get them ready. We've explained all it. I've been on a lot of phone calls in the last day. And a lot of emails and text messages. By the way, if you want to, if you have my cell phone number, you want to text me a long conversation about this, just call me. I'm not a good texter. So, but yeah, it's, I think everybody really, that I've talked to, that are in the DIB, we're not in the DIB necessarily. We don't have contracts with the government. Our clients do. So, but if you're in the DIB, it seems like most everybody I've talked to knows that they need to be compliant and they need to be ready, and that they think like I do that there's going to be some sort of validation of this, and so there's no sense in putting that off, right? So I think that's where we're at.
Hey, quick break before we jump back in. If you're a manufacturer or contractor in the defense supply chain, you already know that keeping your DoD contracts means proving your security controls hold up. Not just on paper, but in front of an assessor. One of the places that falls apart fast is shared responsibility. You're using cloud tools, third-party platforms, maybe a managed service provider, and somewhere in all of that, there are controls that nobody has clearly claimed. That gap is exactly what assessors are trained to find. We're hosting a live webinar on Tuesday, July 21st at 12 p.m. Central Time with FeatureFeed and Prevail called Whose Control Is It Anyway? And we're going to walk you through how to read a customer responsibility matrix, figure out where responsibility actually lands, and close those gaps before they become findings that cost you a contract. Head over to cmmccomplianceguide.com/podcast to register. It's free and it's live. Now let's get back to the episode. So for anyone who's listening out there who's mid-remediation and now they're thinking this is a great time to pause work, what would you have to say?
Just exactly what I was just talking about being compliant is, don't stop. Use this as an opportunity to have a little breathing room, but keep on trucking. Just keep on remediating, keep chewing through those POAM items and keep getting them done.
I know this is speculative, but are there any early read-ons what the reform version might look like or any tells of what we may be looking at after the 60 days?
It's all speculative right now, other than what I just gave you of my 2 cents of what I think might happen, which isn't exact either. There's nothing, they certainly didn't let anything slip that they were going to do this. Which is surprising, or maybe it's not surprising, but they're certainly not going to let slip what they think, they're thinking, and I take that back. There may be some insiders that you can get some information from, but it's all going to be speculative and there's no telling what it'll look like. So, might it cost a little less money? Yep. And that'd be good. Might you have a little more time? Might POAMs be allowed? Yes, all those things are possible. And what I might say also to add to that, there's a request for information that they posted. We are formulating our response right now, and I encourage you to go look at that and submit a very professional RFI or response to the RFI. So, and they list in there what they want to know and questions they want answered. And basically, it's how do we go from what was hard, what was easy, what was good, what was bad, and then where do we go from here? Basically, is what it is. So I encourage everyone to go fill that out and give them some responses, so they have some good responses from DIB companies, small and large, from assessors, from implementers like us, to all sorts of people. So they have good responses from everyone, and don't just have an oversized sampling of large companies or oversized sampling of assessors or something like that. So there is no indication right now of what's going to happen, other than there's a high likelihood there might be less cost involved. What that looks like, I don't know.
Right. Is there any precedent for this kind of pause in the CMMC history?
Yeah, there's absolutely precedent for this is what is happening. I may have said this a while ago. If I didn't, I was talking to somebody out there just a minute ago about it. But there is precedent for this. Every CIO, DOW or DoD at the time, CIO that came in has paused the program. They get in, they get their feet on the ground, they get an earful about CMMC and how expensive and how terrible, and the sky's falling. It is, and I don't want to dismiss anybody's fears or concerns about it. That it is expensive, and we'll just leave it right there. So it is expensive, and I realize that. But we're a small company, a very small company. We have 12 people. So, but we did it. So. Which I might share. I don't think we shared that.
No,
did
we haven't.
Oh my gosh, we should have led off with that. So
Right.
we did pass our. We've been waiting a little bit on it, but we got our final a recommendation for final certification, and then we actually got our certificate today. So we're official. No, sorry, we can't post the certificate on social media. Stacey, please don't do that.
You won't be seeing those screenshots from here.
But
so.
we will post that we're now certified. How much it matters now, I don't know. But and I'm just joking. It does matter. So we are certified now. So and we've gotten a client through successfully through a mock, and hopefully, who knows, we'll see if they move forward with certification or not, but or how soon they do that, or however that works. So right now it's on the calendar. We'll see. But as far as the precedent goes, every CIO, DOW, DoD CIO that's come in, that's Department of War or Department of Defense beforehand. CIO is the Chief Information Officer, so top dog in charge of IT there, right? And so that's Kirsten Davies right now. Everyone that comes in gets their feet on the ground, gets an earful, and then at some point goes, you know what? This is expensive. We got to pause this and we got to look at it. This is way too much administrative burden. We've got to take a look at it. So they take a look at it, and they essentially come up with the same thing. It looks a little different. You still have to meet the controls. You still have to be. You still have to have all the documentation. You still have to do all that. So back in 2021, it happened, and so now it's happening again. So expect a pause. Expect probably something to happen. Don't know exactly what. Personally, I think it was kind of crappy to pull the rug out from everybody at this close of a juncture to the date, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is, right? I was trying to think of something good to say, but it is what it is. So, so we'll see. But there is precedent for this, absolutely. And CMMC was not canceled any of the other times it was paused. It was retooled and made better. And you can argue whether it's made better or not, but we'll just leave it at it was retooled. Right.
Yeah.
So it may be retooled a lot or a little this time. Don't really know. We'll just have to wait and see.
So before we head off, if someone's listening right now, what are some actual to-dos they can do this week?
This week, it depends on where you're at in your journey, really. But if you've got open POAM items, keep working on them. Keep getting those done. Keep chewing through it. If you've got, if you need to upload your SPRS score into PIE or the SPRS system or whatever you want to call it, absolutely get your score uploaded. If you have a mock scheduled, now it's a business decision, but it's up to you. But like I said, I don't see any of these third-party validations going away, and these assessments that have already been done are going to mean something for whatever comes of all this, right? They're not going to just poo-poo all this and make you go through it again. So, but if you've got a mock assessment scheduled, go through it. It's great to know where you stand, right? It's great to go through an assessment and figure out whether mock or real. It's good to go through that assessment and get an assessor's mindset, right? All assessors are a little different. Understand that, but it's still still very huge, very valuable, hugely valuable, it's bigly valuable, So go through that mock assessment. If you have a certification assessment scheduled and you think you're ready for it, hopefully you wouldn't schedule one if you didn't think you were ready. But if you're going through a certification assessment, I'd say go ahead and do that because it's going to mean something, right? So I would say go ahead and go through it. I could see where there's an argument that, it might get a little cheaper, I think that'll take a long time to suss out. So if you've already got it scheduled, get it done. Whenever things turn, whenever something else comes out, then you're in a good spot. You've already been assessed and you're good to go. You're good for 3 years, right? So I think I think those are good sound ideas and good sound thoughts. You own your own business or run a business, and you may think otherwise, but that's my 2 cents. Watch for the 60-day window. There's September 14th. We'll know something. Don't know what we'll know, but we'll know something, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. And also, I would take the time also to go check your solicitations, go check your POs, go check your contracts, whatever it may be. Look for the DFARS clauses that are in there and make sure you know. You should already know if you've got business with the DoD, DOW, but check those solicitations or check the solicitations you're going to bid on. Just check those and see what's in it. So that's what I would say.
All right, Brooke. So before we round out this episode, I want to give you the floor on any final parting thoughts or things that we may have not covered earlier about the memo.
I think we covered all the important stuff. Really, the biggest thing, I know I just listed 5 most important things off or whatever it was, but really the biggest thing is don't have a knee-jerk reaction. Keep on keeping on. Keep going down the path. Keep getting everything done. If you if you just put a down payment, for instance, on a certification assessment, and you haven't gotten it scheduled yet, then possibly push it out, see what the see-through PAO is willing to do. They're probably willing to do quite a bit right now. Feel sorry for those guys. Again, I'm sorry, assessors. It's a tough go for y'all. But push that certification out, because you don't know what it's going to look like. I don't think we'll have a concrete answer on what's going to happen in 60 days. I think we'll have a plan of what they're going to do. And there may be some concrete things they decide, but I think there may be a plan more than anything else, but I could be wrong. But really the biggest thing is don't have a knee-jerk reaction. Don't pull the plug on anything. Don't just keep on doing what you're doing and wait for 60 days to hear out and see what's going to happen.
All right. If you have any questions about what we covered, reach out to us. We're here to help fast-track your compliance journey. Text, email, or call in your questions and we'll answer them for free here on the podcast. You can find our contact info at CMMCcomplianceguide.com. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, stay compliant, stay secure, and make sure to subscribe.